Country.
They were saying earlier, Steve, about the contrast between him and Usain Bolt in terms of fame as we look at Bernard Lagat. But if you look at Bekele's concentration on the start line, he's not quite a Usain Bolt, is he?
No, and I think he suffers by comparison with Gebre Selassie only because of that. His exploits are right up there. He hasn't, of course, turned to the marathon yet. And maybe one day, who knows? Well, that's his attempt, Bren.
Actually, it's getting better,
It's
Steve.
getting better. It's getting better. Yeah. See, he agrees. It's getting better. Well, I think sometimes you just have to admire people's athletic ability. We can't all be Usain Bolt. And Mo Farah, picture of concentration there. This is an event which he's waited for since last year as we look at Eliud Kipchoge, talking about that race in 2003. 18 years of age, as Brendan was saying, on that great night in Paris on the last lap. Helge Rouge, I think we all thought he was going to be able to out-kip Kipchoge, and that's the interesting dilemma, isn't it? The speed of the fast men versus the endurance of the distance men. Will the race be slow enough that Lagat starts to fancy his chances to use his 1500-meter speed? He couldn't defend his title at the shorter distance, but he did run well. He took a bronze medal in that final earlier in the week. He'll be really hoping that, as Brendan suggested, the first few laps might be slow, but I'm not sure how long the likes of Kipchoge and Bekele will hang around. Watch out, as I said, we've got high hopes for Mo Farah. There are plenty of athletes in this race who will think they've got a chance of taking a medal. There's the three big names and then a host of others who, on their day,
on your marks,
could well challenge. The 5,000-meter final. That championship record, 12:52.79, set in that race in Paris. Not sure we'll see anything like that today, but who knows? Bekele has gone off hard around that first bend. Kipchoge following him. And then on the outside, Bernard Lagat leading that group as well. And then once they've run that bend hard, they slow right down as we come through for the first time. 12 laps to go.
Well, we've seen him in many, many kinds of races on the country, on the track, indoors and out, 5 and 10,000 metres. His traditional opening is to get to the front as soon as he possibly can. Normally his scenario is to get to the front as soon as he can and stay there, but today he doesn't need to be in front all the time. But I think one of the things that he's going to be carrying with him in this race today is that he needs to make it somewhere in the race. He needs to make it fast enough so that he puts pressure on the Lagat and Kipchoge, because he knows he can outsprint them, but I think he can outsprint them better in a true run distance race. If it's really slow, I think he could have some questions. But Mo Farah at the back of the pack, just sitting there next to Abdosh, who ran such a brave race when he fell over in the heats and came racing back and ran very, very hard all the way there, and eventually was reinstated. And I thought that was on terms with him, and Steve's keeping a close eye on Mo Farah, who he's suggesting is going through a bad patch, but I don't know why Mo's giving them this start now. In the early laps it's not a problem, but now when they're operating this speed, just imagine it, you've got to run faster than they're doing. Kenenisa Bekele looks over his shoulder and tells Abuya, come on, it's your turn, I've done my bit.
Mo might be just playing a canny card here, as we'd say, because when the pace is moving up and down, if you can just stay even pace, then that's good to do. And if he has been going through a bit of a sticky patch at all, he's certainly got himself into a better position. When they slowed up, they got himself back involved in the race, back in the pack, and I think that's a good place to be. Now, is it going to stretch out again? We've had this fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow. That's not a rhythm which most athletes would enjoy. A 64-second lap there. Kipchoge, Abuya, just putting some pressure. Three Kenyans all gathered around Bekele, but he's been in this position many, many times before. That won't faze him too much.
It's a hard way to run a 5,000 metres, to run alternative 61 and then 64-second laps. You've got to get used to the rhythm, and you notice that it's going to change. Sometimes you're hurting, and you think, my goodness, I'm going through a bad patch, but then you realise the pace is being lifted. And now the three Kenyans, they're working as a team. Eliud Kipchoge did his bit, and they've got 8 laps to go in the men's 5,000 metres, and this is the kind of distance where athletes can start thinking about making serious attempts. Chepkok does his in the early stages. The race was slow, and he wasn't a problem at all, but now the champions are at the front. The world champion for 5,000 metres, the former world champion for 5,000 metres, and the world champion for 10,000 metres, Kenenisa Bekele, just glancing over his shoulder there. He got a bit of a click on the heels. He wasn't very happy with that. He glared at Lagat. 62 seconds. He's going to have to keep picking it up. He's going to have to keep moving it faster, and he's going to have to run faster than 62 to get rid of this group.
This is building to a really exciting climax, and one which it's impossible to predict. A big group still as we come down to approach 2 laps to go in this 5,000 metre final. Mo Farah still there for Great Britain. Bekele at the front, looking as though this is becoming a little bit of hard work for him. Bear in mind, he's had a 10,000 metre final to contend with 5,000 metre heats. Lagat had 3 rounds in the 1,500 metres, nowhere near as damaging as running a 10,000, of course. And that looks like, is that Abuya who's just stepped off? That's Abuya, and it doesn't look as though, well, he started to run again, not quite sure why. He had a little look behind to see whether he was last, realised he wasn't. So, Bekele at the front, Bren, then Kipchoge and Lagat, the big 3 right at the fore.
And Lagat not running great in the 1,500 metres. I wonder if it's going to be as good today, or better today, I mean. And on the outside there, Kipchoge, he's, as we look at Abuya there, and Kipchoge, he hasn't had a race coming into this one. Now he's on the shoulder of Kenenisa Bekele. Mo Farah is in a good place, moving up onto the outside. He needs to take closer order, and if he gets a run on the last lap, Mo Farah's in a great position now. He's finally worked himself so that he's close. He's yards only behind the great Kenenisa Bekele. There goes Bekele. He's going to hold it, and he's going to try and sprint and hold this race right from the start, right from the front. There goes Mo Farah on the outside. He's got chances now. He's really quick, Mo Farah, but the 3 at the front are talented, and Bekele is coming under a little bit of pressure. Farah's in a good place there. Can he strike from there, or is he going to tire from there? What a battle we have before us now.
200 metres to go. Kenenisa Bekele kicks hard from the front. Lagat is still there on the inside. Kipchoge looks as though he hasn't got too much left. Kipsiro of Uganda, and then Qualia. Lagat, the big threat. Kipsiro coming on the outside. Mo Farah just starting to disappear, but here we are. The big battle for the title. The defending champion, Lagat. 1,500 metre speed against 10,000 metre strength. Who's going to win this? Right to the line. Bekele's going to get it. Strength outlasts the speed. Bekele is the double champion. What a race from the 2 of them. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I thought just for a moment that Lagat had the pace, but it came down to strength and guts and determination, and of course no mean ability. Kenenisa Bekele, the double gold medalist. Mo Farah, we think 7th or 8th. 7th place for Mo Farah. I'm not sure he was at his best today, Mo, and he maybe would have enjoyed if you'd said beforehand this is going to come down to a last lap sprint, but that's what it was, Brennan. Everybody became involved. Lots of athletes had a chance with 250 metres to go, but they couldn't get past this man. You know what, Brennan? It always reminds me of a 5,000 metre Olympic final, Lassie Vir in 1976, when they were queuing on his shoulder to get past. They were queuing on the shoulder of Kenenisa Bekele, and they couldn't get past him.
No, I'm still queuing. I was queuing then, Steve. I'm queuing now. But this was a great, great race. That was a fantastic performance by Lagat. And we're looking at the split times, and they are pretty incredible. The race was slow, and then gradually just began to pick up.
Well, we've had 1 or 2 poor finals in the distance events here, but not that one. That was an absolute screamer. Kenenisa Bekele takes 2 gold medals, adds to his collection. 13:17:09, 53.9 for the last 400 metres, 26.1 for the last 200. Absolutely incredible. Pushed all the way by a resurgent Bernard Lagat of the USA, taking the silver medal. James Qualia, former Kenyan, now running for Qatar, took the bronze. And then Mo Farah in 7th place, and Mo Farah is now with Phil.